Okay, let's dive right in. Today we're breaking down a mystery that has absolutely captivated France, a story that digs into the very identity of the First Lady. Now, this is all based on a really deep investigation by journalist Xavier Poussard and others. And trust me, it's not just some political story. It's a true rabbit hole of erased histories and some pretty shocking allegations.
And while this quote from an established journalist, Sylvie Baumel, just perfectly sets the stage, doesn't it? It really captures the sheer strangeness that even mainstream reporters were bumping up against when they were just trying to write a simple profile. It's this feeling of a deliberately erased past that really kicked off the whole investigation we're about to unpack. You know, every big investigation, it always starts with one little thread, a tiny crack in the official story that someone decides to pull on. And for Emmanuel and Brigette Macron, that crack started with something that seemed simple but would end up unraveling, well, pretty much everything. A question about how old they were when they first met.
So just look at how one single detail here changes the entire story. On one hand, you have the official narrative, which the source claims painted this picture of a 17-year-old prodigy in a brave romantic pursuit. But investigators allege he was actually 14, and she was 39. All of a sudden, the story shifts dramatically from a daring romance to a potential abuse of a minor.
So what happens next? Well, the sources allege it was a calculated media strategy, like something straight out of the movie Wag the Dog. Instead of dealing with a potential abuse question, the story was reframed with a feminist angle, Why is an older woman with a younger man such a scandal? According to the investigation, this was a deliberate spin job to get everyone to look the other way.
Okay, so that initial inconsistency about their ages, that was just the tip of the iceberg. It led journalists to dig a lot deeper. But what they found, or maybe more accurately what they didn't find, was even more shocking. It wasn't just a fudged timeline anymore, it was like an entire history had just vanished.
And get this quote isn't from some fringe investigator. This is from a mainstream journalist, Virginie Lenhart. She was just trying to make a flattering documentary about the First Lady. She wasn't looking for a scandal. But when she tried to find anything about Brigitte's life before Emmanuel, she hit a complete and total brick wall, a blackout.
And we are not just talking about one missing photo here. Journalists described a complete black hole. I mean, imagine trying to put together a puzzle, but most of the pieces are just gone. No childhood pictures to be found. School yearbooks, suddenly inaccessible. Her first husband is described as a total ghost. And there are even conflicting dates for major family events like deaths. It was as if the first half of a person's life had been systematically wiped clean.
All right, so this black hole of a past leads us right to the central claim of the entire investigation. This is the point where the story takes a truly radical turn, moving from just inconsistencies into an explosive core theory. To really get your head around this theory, you first have to understand the Trognuet family. The Macron campaign pushed them hard as these quintessential French provincials, chocolatiers from Amiens. This wholesome, real France image. It was the perfect contrast to Macron's own background in elite banking. So their family history was a huge part of his public image.
But here's the thing. As journalists started looking into this supposedly well-documented family, they found something weird. Or more accurately, they found something missing. It's what investigators call the dog that doesn't bark. In a family where every single sibling and cousin was accounted for, one name was consistently, mysteriously absent. And here is that missing name, Jean-Michel Trognuet. The investigation found his name in old business documents, so he definitely existed. And yet, in all the official biographies and all the media profiles of this tight-knit family, Brigitte's older brother is a ghost. He has been completely erased from the family story. The question is, why?
And that question, why, leads us right to the explosive heart of the theory. The investigation alleges this isn't just about hiding a past, it's about a complete identity switch that happened decades ago. The person the world knows as Brigitte Macron is, according to this theory, her brother, Jean-Michel.
Now, I know what you're thinking. That is a huge claim, an absolutely massive claim. And it needs more than just a missing brother to back it up, right? Well, the investigation argues it's not just one thing, but a whole network of powerful people and a series of very strange coincidences that they say lend credibility to this theory.
So let's just break down this alleged network, this syndicate that investigators claim could protect a secret this big. First, you've got Françoise Noguet, Emmanuel's own mother. She's a medical advisor whose specialty just so happened to be helping transgender people secure new legal identities. Then there's Mimi Marchand, the Pope of the Press, whose agency controlled the only source of early photos of Brigitte. You also have Alexander Benalla, Macron's controversial ex-aide, who was allegedly told to guard Brigitte's ghost ex-husband. According to the investigation, these aren't just random coincidences. This is a network that they allege has the means, the motive, and the opportunity to pull off a massive deception.
And then there's this really odd quote from Emmanuel's own mother, Françoise Noguez, that just added fuel to the fire. In a biography, she actually said this, and investigators found it incredibly strange. I mean, what does that even mean? If she's not your daughter-in-law, then what is she?
Okay, this next part is where the investigation claims to have found a potential smoking gun. This timeline connects a mysterious television interview from all the way back in 1977 to the Macron's official story today. Researchers dug up this interview with a transition woman who was hidden in shadow and called herself Veronique. And the alleged overlaps with Brigitte Macron are, well, they're stunning.
And according to the investigation, these parallels are just too specific to be a coincidence. They claim an AI analysis found a 100% voice match between Veronique and Brigitte Macron. They allege that both of them share the exact same verbal tic. But here is the real kicker. Veronique, back in 1977, talks about her love for the composers Chopin and the poets Verlaine and Rimbaud, the exact same cultural touchstones that will become central to the Macron's official love story decades later.
So, when you put all of this together, everything we've just walked through from the source material, you're not really left with a clear answer, are you? No. You're left with a series of profound and completely unanswered questions.
And that's really the point of this whole explainer. It's not about proving or disproving a theory. It's about laying out the questions that the source material raises. Because when a public figure's past appears to be a total black hole, when official stories have major holes in them, and when a network of powerful people seems to control the narrative, it forces us to consider the very nature of truth, identity, and power itself.